Hey, what's going on, guys? Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas with you for another edition of Tropics Watch Live. We do this every Monday at 11 o'clock, and as needed as hurricane season rolls on, if there's something out there in the tropics. So here we go. This is a new area. If you saw the title kind of quote-unquote new, it's because it's kind of new but kind of not. I'm going to get into that in just 1 second. We're also going to talk about likely the biggest outbreak of Saharan dust this season is coming away. That'll be in the Caribbean in a few days and then likely to the United States by the 4th of July weekend. So we're going to talk all about that. We are coming at you live on clickorlando.com, the Pinpoint Hurricane app. If you don't have the Hurricane app, it is the best app on the market to track the tropics. So download that. It is a free download. And then, of course, we are also coming at you live on the Click Orlando News 6 YouTube channel. If you're watching from there, post in the comments where you're tuning in from. If you have any questions, I will answer those as well, so post those in the comments, again, if you're watching from YouTube. All right, we're going to get right into it here. Here is this area, and again, I say new in quotation because it is a new highlight from the Hurricane Center, but it's the same cluster of thunderstorms that was Tropical Storm Cindy. It lost its battle as expected with wind shear, and it's kind of ripped apart. You see disorganized showers and thunderstorms across the southwest Atlantic. Again, here's the Caribbean, Puerto Rico. There is Bermuda. So we're in that highlight zone, but over the next few days, the development is unlikely. Wind shear is going to remain on the stronger side. It's once it gets up in here, that's where the environment gets a little bit better for development, and we could see some redevelopment of what was Cindy. So the question that might come to mind is, okay, well, if this does develop, is this going to be Cindy again, or is it going to be the next name on the list? It's likely going to be Cindy because there's going to be regeneration, but it is going to be kind of the discrepancy on what the National Hurricane Center thinks. If this thing completely lost its low-level center, if that's what they determine happened, then it's going to get the next name on the list. But if it did kind of hold on to some of its characteristics that it had early this morning, then it's likely going to retain its name Cindy or be named Cindy again. So there's a lot of weird things that could happen over the next few days, but so it's going to go one way or the other. That's going to be the call of the National Hurricane Center. Only they know what they believe happened. So we're going to be watching for that. But in all likelihood, since they are talking about the regeneration of it, they're likely going to maintain the name Cindy if it does kind of regain some of its tropical or even subtropical characteristics. You see the percentage goes up to 30% over the next couple of days. So again, Bermuda, we're going to watch this. Also, Nova Scotia, we're going to watch it for you guys way up in the Canadian Maritimes. Again, if it's weak, this could be a good thing with the crazy wildfires burning in southern Nova Scotia. So that could certainly help the drought situation and the fire situation in Nova Scotia. We're going to go further south now, back to the main development region. And the good news is we don't expect any development here. We do have thunderstorms kind of rolling off, but they are in a line. They have to kind of consolidate themselves. That is not expected to happen. We previewed this in a couple of earlier videos. This is one of those big juicy waves that rolled off of Africa. Now, it's not on the brink of developing by any means, but this is a nice healthy tropical wave. You see a little curl there on the northern end. It's not a closed low or anything like that. So we're not talking about a tropical system in the sense, but this is a nice healthy tropical wave getting ready to move back to the Lesser Antilles. So Trinidad and Tobago, into Barbados, into parts of the Windward Islands. We're likely going to see an increase of scattered thunderstorms and some gusty winds as that tropical wave moves through. Now, again, significant development is not expected of that wave, but it's something, again, that we are going to watch. I want to take you further into the Caribbean. We just have disorganized showers and thunderstorms in and around the Bahamas. We're not anticipating any kind of development with this system or with this cluster of thunderstorms off the coast of Florida into the Florida Straits and then into the Bahamas. Just some inclement weather hanging out there. And then kind of the same deal down in the extreme southwest Caribbean. We just have these disorganized showers and thunderstorms. See the darker flare up of red there? That's the infrared satellite picking up on the cold cloud tops. Some of the more intense thunderstorms in the mix towards Honduras, Nicaragua, and then certainly towards Panama and Costa Rica. But again, nothing tropically expected there. Here's another view of that tropical wave getting ready to move towards Barbados and then into Trinidad and Tobago as well. So again, just keep that in mind. St. Lucia, Guadalupe, same deal, same areas that were kind of impacted by by Brett are going to be back under the gun for, again, this tropical wave. It's nothing significant, but some gusty thunderstorms are going to be possible here. All right, here we go. We're going to go from the wet to the dry. Saharan dust being picked up very well on the satellite. We have some of it making its way to Barbados already. So we dealt with the heavy rain from Brett in Barbados, at least the northern part of the island. And now we have this big connection here to the Saharan desert. So all of that brown on your screen, that's going to be our likely largest plume of Saharan dust to not only enter the Caribbean, but really our first run-in of it in the United States, really from the Gulf Coast into the southeast. That's going to include Florida in the coming days, really by the time we get towards the 4th of July weekend, next weekend, and then through the week of the 4th. So we're going to be dealing with some of that Saharan dust. Doesn't look like it's going to be too thick in the United States, but nonetheless, likely at the very least, it's going to enhance sunrises and sunsets. It will be pretty thick, though, for the Caribbean, so that dry, dusty air coming back, we're likely going to see it heat back up again in the Caribbean as a result. But again, this is going to help to tame the main development region, which was uncharacteristically active for the first part of June. Again, we had the history-making systems of Brett and Cindy develop there, having 2 active systems in June. Really, really weird, at least develop in June. All right, so here's the dust forecast, and I'm going to start this on today. This is going to be later on June 26th. All of this white mess here represents the forecast for the Saharan dust. So watch kind of what happens here as we move towards the 28th and 29th. This really starts to get back into the eastern Caribbean. So Puerto Rico, we're going to have that nice dust or ugly dust in our sky. This big outbreak towards Martinique, again, towards the Leeward, Windward Islands, Trinidad and Tobago as well. We have some of that dust pushing towards Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, even into Cuba, Central America. And then watch what happens as we get towards the 4th of July weekend. So July 3rd, July 2nd. Look at this. Here's 3 o'clock in the afternoon on July 2nd. We have a lot of dust over Cuba, over the Turks and Caicos, trying to push towards the Florida Keys, into Cancun. And then as we get towards the 4th and 5th, look at this. Another big blast of Saharan dust, which is even likely stronger than the one we're going to be talking about here. So we're going to be now back under the influence to start July of that dry, dusty air, which should help to tame the tropics once again as well. But you see it getting towards Houston, maybe even San Antonio, getting towards the North Gulf Coast, that white over Florida. A lot of it in the Gulf of Mexico, towards the western tip of Cuba as well. And that's something that's going to continue, again, at least to the first week of July, maybe even to the second week of July. Again, that is something that is typical of the Atlantic this time of the year. It's been uncharacteristically not dusty in the Atlantic and then uncharacteristically active. So the two go hand in hand there with the limited dust. We've also were able to get the tropics a little bit hot for this time of the year. And it doesn't help that the Atlantic is like ridiculously warm for this time of the year. All right, I want to end things here by kind of going over just the model over the next 7 to 10 days here. This is going to be the low-level spin, so we're looking for something like this. Again, a consolidated ball there to kind of pique our interest. When they're strung out like this, it's not really having an opportunity to develop. But a couple of things that catch my eye here right off the bat. There is where the remnants of Cindy are. That is going to be that new system that the Hurricane Center has highlighted. Note the wind direction here. Coming out of the south like this, it kinks up, and then it kind of goes back down like that. That is a tropical wave. So that is an open wave there. That is why it lost its name. It lost its mojo, if you will. Again, the wind shear kind of beat it up. It's now an open wave as of June 26th, later on Monday evening. So watch what happens here. We're going to see if it can become something better organized. And certainly we have a bigger, brighter ball there, indicating that we might be able to get some tropical development. We were talking about for the next couple of days, the National Hurricane Center had this highlighted at a 0% shot for development. But then once it got to day 3, there was percentages jumped up, and it might jump up even further before day 4 and 5. But you see it there. That's June 29th, and then June 30th, it looks to make, quote-unquote, a landfall. If we do get this thing to get tropical again, this would start to head towards maybe even northern Maine, northeastern Maine, southwestern Nova Scotia. So, again, something to watch as we get into the June 29th, June 30th, July 1st realm. potentially something tropically there. Now, we're going to go back into the deep tropics, and you see all as we have here is just this strung out low-level vorticity, as we call it, low-level spin. So there's nothing here through the 30th that looks to be concerning. Another potential tropical wave coming off there, but still not well-defined at all. Just some scattered showers and thunderstorms head towards July 3rd, 4th, 5th. Closer to the Windward Islands, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago. And then again, there's just nothing out there, at least concerning from the European model perspective as we move towards July 6th and into July 7th. So after a kind of a rockin' start here to hurricane season with Brett and Cindy in the main development region, it does look like things are going to pipe down once again with the emphasis of that Saharan dust coming back. NFL Aiden, what's going on? Crystal River, tuning in from Crystal River. Thank you for watching the live stream. And again, if anybody's watching on YouTube, post in the comments where you are watching from. And if you have any questions, post those in the comments as well. So anyway, getting back to what I was saying before I brought that comment over, we're going to have the opportunity, it looks like, again, for the tropics to quiet down over the next couple of weeks. And you can thank this big outbreak, I will go back, of Saharan dust. Again, I say outbreak of dust. It's typical for this time of the year. We just haven't had a lot of it. Again, it's been characteristically quiet in the dust department, but you see it there. That is the current satellite image of the Saharan dust. Alrighty, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of Tropics Watch Live. Again, we bring you a live look at the tropics every Monday at about 11 o'clock. So if you found this helpful, if you want to stay up to date on the tropics, hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're watching on clickorlando.com, if you're watching on the Pinpoint Hurricane app, again, we bring you these live broadcasts right here in the palm of your hand. Subscribe or download the app to get these updates right into the palm of your hand or on your computer, on U6 Plus, wherever you get your live streams. And we'll stay up to date on the tropics. Again, also subscribe to the Tropics Watch newsletter. You can go to clickorlando.com/newsletter. You're going to get kind of a recap, if you missed this, in your inbox a little bit later every Monday afternoon. And again, we will catch you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. And NFL Aiden has another comment. Talking about the big heat this week and next week with the field. Yeah, so, and that's going to kind of be related to this big system in Texas. So this is going to be Tropics Watch Live bonus features. It's that same system. I don't know how much, if anybody has been paying attention to the weather in Texas, but it's going to be related to that. The huge, huge heat in Texas. It's because of this big upper ridge there, that big area of high pressure you see right smack dab in the center of your screen. That just bakes areas that those are under the influence of. So watch what happens as we go through the week. All of that red and that big area of high pressure just kind of builds over the southern Gulf of Mexico, the northern Gulf of Mexico, the southern United States. And that appendage of this big area of high pressure gets into Florida. And that is really going to help to bake the state of Florida for the next few days. We're going to have that heat index way above 100, maybe 105, maybe up to 110 at times for the week ahead, and it's because of that big area of high pressure. What can make matters even worse is as we get towards July 4th, July 3rd, July 4th, showed you that dust coming over. That is going to help to dry out the middle levels of the atmosphere as well, and if it's at the right thickness, not reflecting some of that sunlight back, it could help to bake us even further. So we have a lot of heat coming our way. The storm chances are going to be lower, but the heat is coming our way, and I'm going to have an update on that in a video coming out later on this afternoon. If you subscribe to the Click Orlando News 6 YouTube page, and again, if you follow clickorlando.com, which I hope you do, we're going to have an update, afternoon weather update, that's going to break down why the storm chances are going down and why it's going to get really hot. I know it's always hot. Okay, it's June in Florida. It's supposed to be hot, but it is going to get blazing hot. There's levels. Again, it's all relative this time of the year. Again, this is a double goodbye. Thank you a ton for watching, and thank you, NFL Aiden, for your comments. Really appreciate you hopping on the live stream today. And anybody watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, we will catch you every Monday at about 11 o'clock. And again, daily content, daily weather content on the News 6 WKMG, Click Orlando YouTube page, and of course on clickorlando.com. Like, follow, subscribe, all that jazz. We'll catch you next time. For real this time. Thanks for tuning in.